Welcome to Pharmacy View, Technology and Pharmacy Business podcast series, where we provide regular interviews with pharmacists and key industry people within the Australian pharmacy and associated industry. In each podcast, we look to discuss aspects of pharmacy operation and how technology is improving or interacting with each guest's current role or pharmacy-related business. I'm your host, Scott Carpenter, and today's guest is sponsored by Shopfront Solutions, leading the way in digital marketing and communications, providing a cloud-based platform for pharmacies to manage all of their digital messaging and print-based collateral. For more information on the Shopfront Solutions digital platform, simply go to the website at shopfrontsolutions.com.au. Welcome to Pharmacy View, Technology and Business podcast series, where I'm talking today with pharmacist Jessica Lai and Head of Commercial Eric Moschietto from PharmX. Welcome, Jessica and Eric.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. Now, for anyone that might not know who you are, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'll start. So my name is Jess. First and foremost, I am a pharmacist. So I started my career a few years ago working full-time as a community pharmacist. After a couple of years, I found a role in digital health. And I really enjoyed working in this particular space. So I spent a few years working in the digital health field, and at the moment I'm working as the customer and marketing lead for PharmX. I still work as a community pharmacist on the weekend, so I still enjoy doing that. So that's a little bit about me. What about you, Eric?
Eric?
I am Eric Moschietto. I am originally from France, but I have been in Australia for the best part of the last 22 years. And most of my working career actually has been in Australia, except 1 year spent in Paris. So I'm an Australian at heart from a work point of view, and probably an Australian altogether. I have worked within the pharmacy industry in many different organizations, coming from a supplier branded good with multinationals, national market leaders, and recently with CSO wholesaler. And I'm very pleased to have joined PharmX, and the correlation of all my experiences in the past has been that I've made quite a number of technology improvements. So moving to PharmX was very exciting for me because I was stepping up right into the technology space where we can make a difference for quite a number of parties. So
yeah, that's great. And Eric, I noticed on your history there's two things that stood out for me. One is that you've had quite a few years in the beauty industry, which is obviously reflective in your skin tone today. I think that's done a great job. From anyone that will see the video clips, you'll notice that. But I also noticed that you mentioned the year in France, and was that the year that you had to do your police service?
Yes, I was in the, would you believe it, I was in the anti-riot brigades in France for my military service, and that was a community policing, and I spent 12 months doing my compulsory, military service in the police force.
Excellent.
Which I chose to at the time. You could select to go into some of those little corps, and I was lucky to be accepted in one of them.
So not only are some people listening are going to love your accent, but you're also potentially almost a French gendarme for a period of time. Is that the way it works?
Well, you won't tell a policier that he's a gendarme because they are different corps.
Okay.
The gendarme belonged to the army at the time, and the police belonged to the national administration.
Okay.
So it was but I think now they're part of the same national department, if you like, but at the time you couldn't say that. It's a very sensitive subject.
Okay. All right. We won't dwell on it then. We'll move on.
I'm also a rugby aficionado, so I'm probably more of a rugby than a policier.
Okay. No, well then you'll get some followers and listeners from that perspective as well, I'm sure. So, look, in terms of PharmX, and again, obviously this came back onto my table a couple of weeks ago, which is why we connected with each other, and I was pleased we did because I certainly remember PharmX from probably 15 years ago which would be around about when it was probably launched or in inception. And I was working with some pharmacists in southeast Melbourne who were talking to me about it, and at that particular point in time were really happy that it was on the market and they were using it. So what is the history of PharmX as such?
Yeah, PharmX, you're right, started about 15 years ago, in 2005. It solved the problem that is a common problem in fragmented trade, which is the nature of a pharmacy industry in Australia, where you had about 5,000 pharmacies with a myriad of point-of-sale solutions, and you had CSO wholesalers and direct-to-store suppliers with ERP solutions, and there was no connectivity. Like a partner that was helping all those parties connect with each other. And PharmX was created on the premise of solving this problem, and has grown from there to have now over 60 different commercial partners and growing, and overseeing most of the ordering and invoicing connectivity between suppliers and pharmacies on a daily basis.
Yeah, okay. And again, certainly it's very likely that there's a whole lot of pharmacies out there. That was 15 years ago, but there'll be a whole lot of pharmacies out there today that are using this but may not realise they're using it. It's just part of the framework now.
100%. When I first started, I realised that actually you could ask 100 people if they knew PharmX, and you probably have 99% of yes, but you could, and if you ask the same people what PharmX did, or if they used PharmX, you probably have 99 different answers. So we, from that point of view, from a brand, we have really high usage because PharmX is being used every day by 99% of pharmacies for sure, with their CSO wholesalers orders to start with. But it's one of those brands that's hidden behind, and many pharmacies or many suppliers, as a matter of fact, don't really understand the proposition of a brand. So we have a mission to start with to articulate what we do and how we can help enhancing the efficiencies in the market.
Yeah, and I think that's a nice lead in, Jessica, the marketing campaign that you've got going at the moment, Do What You Do Best. Certainly, I guess from my perspective, if I'm providing support or counsel to a business owner, it's one of the things that I immediately look at is that, what are all the ancillary things that you're doing either as a business that maybe you shouldn't be doing, or as an individual that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing, or someone else could be doing for you. And talk to us about that, the current marketing campaign and the awareness campaign and how that actually ties in. And I guess from what a pharmacist or a retail manager should be aware of as to how you can help them.
Yeah, definitely. So, we have a campaign running at the moment called the Do What You Do Best campaign. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise awareness around how PharmX can benefit you in the pharmacy. So, Scott, you're probably well aware of this, but in every pharmacy, you have one person who's dedicated to doing invoicing per week, and that can take an hour or more depending on how many invoices that you have. So what PharmX does is it helps to improve the process so that the pharmacies don't need to do the invoicing anymore, and also it helps save time on the process for ordering as well. So we just want to let all the pharmacists and the pharmacy owners know that instead of having that person sit behind a computer every day putting in invoices, they can be instead on the floor helping the pharmacists, helping to sell more items, helping to support the pharmacists so that they can do what they do best and help their patients. So that's what we're trying to achieve with the campaign.
Pharmacists are really passionate about the health of their patients and the service that they deliver to a community.
Yeah.
And we really saw PharmX as an enabler to free their time and the time of their staff to deliver on this. So we're really passionate about it, and we were a great tool to do this.
Yeah. So I might just for anyone listening to that, I guess, take us on a little bit of a journey, and it goes back a few years now. And correct me if I'm wrong at the end of this, but so if I go back 15 to 20 years, when I was involved in running businesses, and you're right, there was the only connectivity between a retail business and a supplier was probably a fax machine or a phone call, effectively. And, you know, you might have had a very raw point of sale system that generated an order, but you would print out the order and you would fax that off to the supplier. The supplier would then, you know, manually punch that in. And so ultimately, as technology improved, what the connectivity did, as I understood it or understand it, is that it allowed any point of sale system to be able to then connect directly with that supplier. So you could, in effect, generate an order for a category which might raise orders across 5 different suppliers, in effect. And now what we're saying with PharmX is that that's taken it even one step further, where not only does it, I guess, transact the order with the supplier, but it also transacts the invoice back from the order acceptance, the order recognition, notifies the out of stocks or the back orders back into your system, and then ultimately helps you process the invoice. Is that the journey that we're talking about here? Is that still the case?
Yeah, and that's what takes the best part of what Jess was saying per order and per supplier, an hour and a half for each order. So so it's a big journey, and if you count, I don't know, 100 suppliers and countless orders every month, every day, it's a lot of time spent doing this.
Yeah, and it all happens in the background. The pharmacists don't need to do anything, so. Yeah, it's great.
So what kind of, in terms of time saving, for an average community pharmacy, if there is such a thing, I'll let you use your terms on that one. What kind of time saving would be available to a person? Again, it's not about cutting back hours. It's, as you mentioned, Jessica, it's about moving those hours from the back office to the customer patient floor, isn't it? What kind of time frame would do you think they'd be saving?
We estimate it could save up to 40 hours per month per store by using PharmX. So that's a significant amount of time that a person can be out in front of the shop instead, greeting customers, looking after patients. So, it's a large amount of time.
Full week of service every month extra.
And I guess the next step from that would be is that, as we mentioned a little bit earlier on, was that there's pharmacies that are using this but actually may not be using it to its full capability. So, you may not be in that position where you've got 40 hours that you can transition to the floor, but if you're not using the platform efficiently, there could still be another 20 hours or 10 hours that you would be finding as you're talking to people. Have you got some examples of that without naming names?
No, but we've got some clear stats, and those 40 hours are part of some PharmX research from a couple of years ago. So, but from a usage point of view, an average pharmacy has 5.6 supplier accounts on that they're transacting on PharmX, and a pharmacy may have 50, 70 suppliers as an average, including CSO wholesalers and direct-to-store suppliers. PharmX has about 50 to 60 different commercial partners available to any given pharmacies, and some of the biggest firms and biggest players in the Australian market. And we on our books we've got Blackmores, Sanofi, Integria Healthcare, Pharmacare, Heat, L'Oreal, Coty, Pierre Fabre, McPherson's. These are big firms, big players in the Australian pharmacy market. And actually, just those that I've noted is way more than 6. But most pharmacies don't know that they can connect with those suppliers, and also sometimes suppliers haven't seen the value proposition that PharmX develops. But pharmacies to start with aren't aware of a breadth of commercial partners available for PharmX. So there's further efficiencies that can be gained. That all those, especially in my time in beauty, there's a lot of SKUs. And I often say that it's the 80% of the SKUs that take 20% of the sales, but also 95% of the time to process. And that's the problem we're really trying to solve moving forward, is by raising awareness through the campaign just mentioned.
Yeah, so can I say that back to you, just to make sure I got that right? So your statistics research is showing that on average a pharmacy might be using PharmX to order 5.6 suppliers, but there could be up to 75 suppliers that they could do this for.
Yeah, well, a pharmacy may have an average of 70 suppliers. We've got 50 to 60 on our books, and depending on the pharmacy, the pharmacy may have 20 of 25 suppliers that are already on our books, plus the one that we're talking to about bringing over on a journey with us.
Yes.
So there's a large portfolio of growth in efficiencies but we want to continue to provide moving forward. But already now, any given pharmacy can go from an average of 5.6 to 10, 15, 20 suppliers just by reading who we've got available as part of our supplier connection, and then start to create accounts on PharmX, and then send those accounts to a supplier so that they can approve and acknowledge and start transacting for PharmX.
And from there, so Jessica, from a pharmacist's point of view, there could be pharmacists listening today that think that whoever's doing their ordering is probably doing it the most efficient way possible, but in actual fact, they might just be ordering or using the PharmX system because it's already there. So this isn't something that you're trying to sell. The pharmacies are already using PharmX. This is actually about using PharmX to a greater capability. So there could be a pharmacist out there could have pharmacy staff currently ordering some of the product through PharmX and some of it manually. And really what I guess I've heard today is that if you can transition that other to the PharmX platform as well, there's potentially up to 10 hours a week to come back into the customer care area. That's what I think I'm hearing.
Yeah. I think it's definitely being underutilized, and a lot more time can be saved in the pharmacy if they were to start transitioning over to PharmX for all their suppliers rather than just, as Eric said, just a small portion, which is what our data shows. So definitely lots of space for pharmacists to save time and to start getting their staff out there to the front of the counter.
Yeah, and look, I guess what's coming to my mind now, what a great a group of people to actually be able to touch base with at APP, to come and have a chat with you about not trying to sell us PharmX. I've already got it potentially. Actually, this is my pharmacy. This is what I'm currently doing. How can I utilize it better? That's a great conversation to have at APP, isn't it? And I'm assuming you'll both be there.
Yeah, we will, and we'll be. We have a sponsorship in place. I think the lunch area is brought to you by PharmX this year, and we will be there to talk to pharmacists about how they can maximize usage, and also talk to our supplier commercial partners and future commercial partners about how they can also expand and gain in efficiencies and or come with us and create new channels for sales and ordering.
From there, and I think that was a really good prompt as well, because I've been, I guess, talking to a point about the pharmacy units, but really the other side of that is very much about the supplier contact as well. So I know from our followers' profiles that there's quite a few key industry suppliers that do follow this podcast. So if any of them are not connected today through PharmX, you'd be certainly happy to have a chat with them before APP anyway, maybe after Christmas. But
except between the main days and the Christmas break, we are open for business, and we actually are talking to suppliers on a daily basis about joining and coming on PharmX. Some of those decisions take a while, but usually there's a very high level of satisfaction by the suppliers of a service that PharmX deliver from a support point of view. We have an Australian-based IT support team that help them and nurse them through the journey. They have an excellent level of commitment and quality that they deliver to all the commercial partners. And I had a supplier the other day that out of all the commercial, the IT integration that he's done in his years, 25 years as a business, PharmX by far the best and the easiest to do to work with in the market. So it was that was a great show of support. And this man will know who he is, but I've asked him to, going forward, we're going to put his quote on our website because it was terrific.
Oh, for sure. So again, I guess on that point, the top 5 or the most common 5 suppliers that pharmacies would be connecting with today would obviously be your 3 major wholesalers.
Yep.
Is that right?
That's correct. The CSO wholesalers actually are would you believe that our first client at PharmX was Barrett's, which is now a CSO wholesaler, a little wholesaler in Victoria. It was the first ever PharmX client. But the CSO wholesaler are major commercial partners of PharmX, including CH2. And after that, we have a great partnership with Blackmores, with Integria Healthcare, with Pharmacare, and all those firms. You know, the major players in the market. But that would the main 5 or 6 common clients or common suppliers would be the wholesalers.
Yes.
Sanofi, Blackmores, DHL, and after that it depends. Integria, extra. So
but as you said, open to chat with any of the major suppliers around that. Could help this from a pharmacy perspective. That's great.
It would.
Yeah, so on that basis too, and again, we go back to the start of this, was that the platform is 15 years old. Pharmacists love technology. It's certainly helping businesses through the journey without breaching any confidentiality in terms of development that you don't want to. What's in the current development pipeline for PharmX?
Well, Scott, we won't be breaching confidentiality because I won't tell you the answer you want to hear, because we go way back and I like to catch up with you, so we want to come back to your podcast next year. Okay. I'm going to tell you what's happening now that people need to know, and then for the new stuff we'll come back and see you sometime next year, because there are some really exciting stuff that we are doing. But at the moment we are busy rolling out our Gateway 3, which is the third evolution of our Gateway.
Yes.
And that in itself is a great step forward, because it provides functionality that make account creation a lot more easy and seamless from creating an account between a point of sale vendor, the pharmacy, and the supplier. So there's always this tripartite agreement that has to be enabled, and that is being created in a more seamless way. But also suppliers can have the availability of their stock, whether their SKUs being made available on the point of sale softwares of our post-vendor commercial partners. So we are in the midst of doing a project with one of our supplier partner where, let's say we have a list of 100 SKUs. For each of those SKUs, every day a pharmacy will know if the product is available in stock or not.
Yeah.
And that is also something we want to do. We'll roll out with the CSO wholesalers as well.
Okay. Yep.
So that's a terrific improvement and initiative that is part of our Gateway 3.
Yes.
And then from a supplier point of view, there was a misconceived idea that PharmX is deterring from. He was trying to take away the role that a sales rep would do, but I've had field forces like and large operations like you, Scott. And nothing replaces human contact. So I don't think that's the role we want to play. It's just PharmX offers another channel for getting orders. And if you're a supplier that has pharmacies on PharmX, pharmacy will deliver an average of 10% more on a like-for-like basis versus a pharmacy that's not on PharmX.
Yes.
And the reason is that it's the ease of ordering. So if you need just a small top-up, you get an extra couple per year, and it quickly create an extra double-digit percentage incremental sales, because it's easier to order through PharmX. But the reps still have a role to play.
Yeah.
What we're offering as a solution, which is an innovation and was pretty well received so far, but not many people are aware of, if you have a field force with a CRM, and when you place your orders, we can integrate your CRM software through PharmX, so that in effect, as you place an order on behalf of a store as a sales rep, this order actually is also populated in a point of sale system of your pharmacy client, which saves them a lot of time. You don't have to key this order. For you as a supplier, there's no difference from receiving this order, except you're receiving it through PharmX, through the gateway. So it's directly integrated with ERP. And when you send it, the difference is when, as a supplier, you send the order, your invoice back to the pharmacy, straight away, the pharmacy will have an order corresponding with it, because they will have received a copy of the order through the gateway.
Yep.
And that's where the big saving that Jess was mentioning in the start of the podcast will come into play. It's very exciting, and we're getting a bit of uptake on this initiative, and that's enable a lot more efficiencies to be gained throughout the chain. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, look, and that's great. That's a lot of information. So on that basis, very exciting upgrade coming shortly, and it sounds like you've got some other things that we're going to talk about next year, which I look forward to as well.
Yeah, you're going to be busy.
Yeah, we're coming to the end of our time, but before we do, was there anything else on your list that you wanted to chat about before we do finish up?
Yes.
No.
No, I think that's it for me. I think we've probably covered everything. Yeah.
Look, that's great, and again, I really appreciate your time, and thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to releasing this podcast sometime in the new year, and look forward to probably seeing you at APP and touching base again in 2022. Thanks for your time today.
Scott, thank you very much for having us. It's a terrific initiative that you're doing, and we are very honored to be part of it. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks very much
for having us.
Thank you for listening today. Pharmacy View is a technology-focused podcast provided by Melbourne-based business Arian Technologies and Shopfront Solutions. Over the podcast series, our guests include pharmacists, retail managers, wholesalers, suppliers, and industry technology partners. If you would like further information on our podcast series or to participate in one of our episodes, feel free to send me a message or touch base through the Pharmacy View website, pharmacyview.com.au.